Hey everyone, hope you're doing well and welcome to the Unforeseen Journey podcast. This week, I'm fortunate enough to be speaking to another lovely person who's come into my life recently over the last few months as I've kind of ventured out into the world of coaching online and, in particular, having certain conversations with certain people. So Stephanie Ramos, really excited to have you here today. I know this is kind of a first and it's kind of like a bit of a new thing, and it's still a new thing for me. So it's cool. So I guess the thing to start with, I feel like, is the thing to kind of get started with is like tell me, because I don't know much about your story, like how you've found yourself where you are and exactly what you do right now. So if you could just tell us your story and tell us what you do.
Great, Glenn. Thank you so much for having me. I have the long story and the short story. So, I started as a fitness coach in the CrossFit community as I was living in China. Started working there and then got tired of it, got tired of the environment. And then I moved out of China and I had this opportunity to change my life, transform it, and look for new things to do. And then I found breath work that has been very impactful in my own transformational journey, my own healing, and also self development. And this is what I'm doing now. I'm helping people overcome anxiety, overwhelm, depression through breathwork and mindset so that they are able to be in control of their lives, of themselves, and also be inspired to lead their lives.
Awesome.
And also, please ask me everything that you want to ask because I imagine I
Mhm.
will summarize a lot. And if you want more
Mhm.
details, I'm happy to tell you all
Yeah.
the details as well.
Yeah, I mean, and I guess that's the thing, right? When I ask anyone their story, I'm always conscious of like how much of that do people want to get into. But for me, like I kind of want to know, like, how did you get into CrossFit? What did you go tired of there? I'm just interested because that resonates with me. And then that transition to going from CrossFit to like breath work, I'm like, that's like a complete jump. Like, how did that come about? So yeah, so I guess get started. How did you find CrossFit? How did you originally get into that?
Beautiful. It's amazing. Amazing question. I got into CrossFit because that was my opportunity to become a coach. Before that, I was in university halfway through. I wasn't living my life. I felt that something was missing, and it was sports, it was movement. So I found this gym. It was the only functional fitness gym in that city. And I invited myself to go drop in, check what it was. I heard the description of a kettlebell and I knew what it was because I was already searching online for online programs of what I could do at home by myself to start moving again and feeling like myself, feeling better about myself, having more confidence. And at that time, I was also in a circle of people who knew me as my sister's sister. They wouldn't call me my name. And I was like, no, I'm not just her sister. I'm Stephanie. And that also helped me think about what I wanted, who I was, and searching for myself, self discovery. That was the start of my fitness journey. And my goal at the time was to lose weight because I was getting fat of partying, drinking, not having a routine. That was the goal outside, right? Of losing weight. And internally, it was for me to be confident. And so I started spending half the day in the gym. I would skip class and go to the gym, be there all day, hang out. Then I had the opportunity to start coaching in that place. So I went from client to coach, and it was a functional fitness place. And we were reading the CrossFit Level One book. So that's how I got started with CrossFit. And then I went to the US, got my CrossFit certification, went back to China, had a different job, not a different job, different gym. I moved to a different city for a better um, job opportunity, better salary. So I moved to the different city. I worked for NorCal CrossFit, from Jason Kalipa. They have this corporate gym in China and also many places in the world, and that's corporate. So I was their in-house coach for the employees of the company that they served. That's how I got into CrossFit, and I'm getting into the transition to breathwork. So I started competing in CrossFit in China to have more friends and have the excuse to travel as part of the job, related to the job, and it became a performance based approach. And I realized that competing wasn't my motivation to keep training. I competed in teams, individual, and even working with a partner. I wasn't giving my 100%, knowing that the other person was doing that. So that also was a reality check of, well, I don't want to compete anymore. And I realized that was me seeking external validation of proving to others that I am good at it, that I am capable. And then I went back to normal training and also asking myself, what does training look like if I don't have a goal? Um, so CrossFit started to get boring in terms of the workouts, and I found Strong Fit. Strong Fit it's from Julian Pinot and at the time Richard Aceves. They were working together, and I was looking into their anxiety stuff, how to fix shoulder pain. So I started with fixing my own physical pain, and it went to all the psychological side of training, of putting yourself in a state of extreme discomfort so that you're able to get out of it and be in a place of flow, of doing it really well. So that's high performance again. And from there, that's when I started using breathing to improve my performance in the gym by using breathing with movement to warm up properly, to get 1 rep max in a deadlift, knowing how to approach the bar with the mindset, and using the breath to put me into that state of going all in, dominating the bar, and getting the 1 rep max, lifting as heavy as possible. And at that time, I was already training strongman. So I went from CrossFit training to strongman, which is carrying heavy sandbags, farmers carry, all those weird objects, carrying weird objects and heavy. That's how I transitioned to. That's still my the path towards breathwork. That's how I started. And then when I was sick of being in China, of working in the same place with the same people, feeling like I wasn't having any progress in my own career and also my life, I first decided to move out of China. And then when I got to the US, that was my next destination. I had this, I connected with one of the coaches that helped me with the transition. So now I'm moving out of China. And with that, it wasn't just a jump. I prepared for it because what triggered me to leave and have a better life for myself, find out what I wanted, was the death of my grandma. She died, and then I was like, and I thought, what am I doing here? I'm wasting my time. I'm wasting my life here, not being happy, dissatisfied with everything. So from there to me leaving China, it took about 5 to 6 months. And with that, I connected with a coach that is also a therapist, but a life coach as well, all those different labels. And he helped me with connecting with myself and having the room to feel and express and know what I was feeling through music. So we would listen to music, modern music, any kind of music, and see what resonated with that song through the lyrics and also through the rhythm. So whatever came up for me during that song was a translation of what was happening in my life or what was present for me at that time. And then when I got to the US, I took his course, and also the breathwork coach course. They were working together as partners, and it's Brady Brewer. He is known as the spiritually remastered coach. So that's the music therapy from his side. And William Burnett, Australian guy, that he is focused on the breath work. Now, curious thing about, do I go into who they are, or is
Yeah,
that,
I'd love to hear because I've
yeah?
never heard anything about the music. The music thing, I'm like, that sounds incredible. Like I love music myself, and so yeah, like yeah, go into whatever details you want. I really want to hear about it.
Hmm. Music is interesting.
Mm,
Um, I'll go into that later with the music and
mm,
how I use it in my breathwork sessions
yeah, yeah.
and in my life as well. And so Brady Brewer is the music guy. He finds meaning in music and teaches you how to find meaning in the music that you listen to. And William Burnett, Australian man, he ran across Australia last year, and he ran one ultra marathon a day for 81 days consecutive,
It doesn't
with
sound
the goal
human.
of exactly with the goal and the point of proving the medical
Mhm.
system and all those systems that he is able to heal himself and also teach other people how to heal themselves. Because he was in the military for 12 years, he was discharged with a lot of physical issues and mental issues, of doctors telling him he wouldn't be able to walk by the time he was 35 years old. So now he's 33 and he ran across Australia by using, and to prove also that he's using the tools of breathwork, sound healing, music, all those holistic tools to help him recover and also achieve human performance at the top level. So
Mm,
that's William Burnett.
mm. But is he in the US though? Because you said he's Australian. So how did you connect
He's
with him?
Australian. I
Yeah,
connected
but
with
he's
him through a mm, a online course
oh,
that is
okay,
for
cool.
it was for online coaching businesses.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Wow. But your from what you were saying, your initial kind of exposure to breath work was that through StrongFit? I've heard of those guys before because my background in fitness was CrossFit, then OPEX, and I know OPEX Fitness and StrongFit used to kind of have this thing of like, whoa, one saying one thing, one saying the other. So is your exposure to breath work, was that originally from, was that the spark in that in StrongFit?
Yes, that's how I started paying attention to breath and how breathing affects your mindset and also your performance. But they don't talk about breathing now as the way that I use it. So go ahead, please.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, no, because you said something really interesting that I'd never heard before in the strong fit thing is they almost like expose you to pain to almost like put you in a state of flow or something like that you said, and I just was like, I've never heard of that. That's is that kind of their one of their like signature? styles of what they do.
Yes, definitely. And that's how they get into the emotional side of your emotions being stuck in your muscles. Of
Mm.
if you're able to be comfortable and trust the pain that is not pain, that you use your breath to be in that state, your muscles will release and you get this full rush of feelings, emotions, and that also helps in mental health and performance. Now I don't know what they are doing exactly. The last time I checked Julian Pinot,
The signal.
yeah, I don't know what they I don't know what they are doing now exactly. So the last time I
Mm.
checked Julian Pinot, he's in
Mm.
Brazil and he's working with people with autism. And
Wow.
Richard, Richard Aceves, he is in the Netherlands,
Mm.
Amsterdam, and he's working with people to coach coaches on how to be better coaches for humans, like coaching humans instead of coaching athletes. And also, if you have athletes fixing their pain, which comes from muscle imbalances, that comes from emotional stuckness, and also breathing patterns.
Wow. Yeah, I don't know enough about them to even comment, but that sounds really interesting because it's kind of like an integrated approach. Um, and having gone through the education path with OPEX, I can see similarities on their kind of integrated, more holistic approach to coaching. But that just sounds like a completely different way of looking at it. That's interesting. Okay, cool. So there's quite a few questions I had from you there. I guess what did you feel like you weren't getting from CrossFit that you were then able to do through the transition into what you do now? Why not stay doing CrossFit?
The environment.
Mm-hmm.
The environment was not the one that I wanted to be in.
Mm.
I didn't see the point of pushing and training all day, and
Mm.
also the opportunity to help people in a deeper way.
Mm.
I was tired of repeating movements and
Yeah.
cueing the same things. And also, I was using Strong Fit's material to have a different conversation with people. Of Instead of going with the full range of motion, you feel the tensions in your muscles and the true mobility. So you use the breath to know your full range of motion. Let's say when you squat down, you inhale as you squat down, and when you stop inhaling, that's your maximum range of motion for the day. You don't keep squatting down just to hit the point of performance. So that's safety, and that's also health for longevity. And my mind was into that. My mind was into that space instead of teaching in terms of hitting points of performances and lifting things over your head, which it's not the most functional thing. And most people don't need to be throwing a bar overhead in a snatch for their life.
I feel like that isn't controversial at this point. It shouldn't be, but I guess I can relate to a lot of what you're saying because I was coaching CrossFit for a long time, and then I went the route of education through OPEX, and something you said about doing exercise for external validation that hit with me because I've experienced over the years. I think there's a misaligned intention with a lot of people doing CrossFit, unfortunately, and it is for an extrinsic motivation. It's like, oh, look at me, look at what I'm doing. But then it sounds like with Strong Fit, similarly with OPEX, it's about teaching you to be more inner focused, and it's about an intrinsic kind of way to view fitness. And so those are to try. You can't massage them in because I tried to do that. I tried to introduce OPEX to CrossFit people, and they just didn't have any of it. They were like, no, no, I just want to take my top off and get a sweat on and do some wall balls, like telling people to try and chew their food and get 8 hours sleep. They weren't having any of it.
That's
I
interesting.
guess.
That's interesting that it's the same patterns and the same behaviors. Of course, it's the same culture of CrossFit, that same environment of pushing, pushing, pushing. It's fun. It was fun, and I'm very grateful that I went into the world of CrossFit. I competed. I learned a lot of lessons through that, and I found out that that's not for me anymore.
Yeah, yeah. I think as we talk about this, it's like I still view it as a very positive thing in my life. I still see it as part of my life, but I think it's just the the perspective shifts that happens once you gain a bit more education, especially in terms of movement and what is best for people in terms of longevity, and that's or for health. It's not performance, is it? And I guess the conversation is the same thing. It's like if you're pursuing this for overall health and longevity, you probably don't need to be doing snatches every day. It's questionable. You probably shouldn't be going overhead. But those things are so hardwired into that methodology now that you can't kind of like you can't. I feel like they're too far in with that. They can't change it. They can't change it now.
Yeah, the people who are far into that, I imagine that they consider CrossFit as a sport, so they interact as being someone who practices the sport of CrossFit and
Mm,
not doing it for exercise and for better health, feeling better about themselves, having more confidence.
yeah,
Yeah.
and I think that's part of another conversation. Maybe is that there is that there should be. I still feel like a separation between CrossFit for sport and then if you're doing CrossFit for health, and there should be such a difference in what that looks like. But I think the merging of CrossFit is that it's now identified largely with the images who pursue the sport, and you're like, okay, well, that's probably not the thing that we should be looking at. But yeah, okay. Well, I think we could talk about CrossFit for all day, but I want to talk about breath work more because I'm really interested in that selfishly myself, and it's your jam now, right? So how do you kind of, because I know we had a discussion of the day you work remotely. So tell me how that works. How do you what kind of people do you want to work with? How do you find them? How does the process work of coaching online with breathwork?
Hmm. Let me think about it, of which
Mm.
one I'm going first.
Yeah, I answered. I gave you too many there, so
No,
do
it's
whatever one you
okay.
want.
Um, Now, let's keep talking about performance, optimal performance. And that looks like being present with your kid, with your family. And if you're a father or a mother, then you're there to support your child whenever they need you, when they need you to listen to them or see the thing that they're doing. Um, and listening, being present are are the same thing, same things. Um, because if you're not present and if you're not listening, it's easy to disregard their emotions or their feelings, which means they get a sense that they're not important. And also, it's easy for you to snap at them. And once you spit the words, you cannot suck them back in.
That is true.
And we all experience that, not just with children, but also people, relationships. And that's also performance. Like, how present can you be and how well can you respond in a situation that is stressful so that everybody is on the same page and everybody's working together to be well. That's performance for me in that point of view. Performance is also work, because work part of is a big part of a lot of people's lives. And if you care about your work, you do want to perform better. And by doing so, you need energy to do that. If you're always tired, then you make mistakes. You won't listen to people. You'll be short-tempered. And with that, you can also snap, say things that you don't mean, or send an email that you regret sending, or make a mistake in the email that costs your company thousands of dollars. And that's also high performance, which requires presence and knowing how to respond in high pressured critical situations. These are the reasons why I also love teaching breath work. You can use words as self awareness, self development, but at the end of the day, it needs to be translated into things that you do and have impact in your life. So it's not just learning about yourself. Yes, you do become a better person, and with that, you help other people be better, which means leading by example. And my process, the people that I work with, I find them through Instagram and other social media. I am very connected with my friends and former clients in China. So they see what I'm doing, and the people that have worked with me one on one with breath work, they know me for more than 5 years in person. And now I'm in that stage of meeting more people so that they know they can know how they can benefit from working with me and if I'm able to help them. And people go from not knowing what to do with their lives, being overwhelmed, having anxiety attacks, meltdowns, panic attacks, all from being highly stressed for too long and being unaware that they're having too much stress in their lives in terms of working a lot, not resting, doing everything for everybody and not doing anything for themselves. Also, if there's a sudden breakup and then somehow everything that you knew about your life doesn't exist anymore, how do you adapt to that? How do you move on from that? And that um, brings anxiety, overwhelm, a lot of thinking, a lot of planning of what now instead of what's possible for the future. Because when you're in that state of overwhelm, anxiety, you are stuck and you're unable to see outside and into the future or possibilities. So going back again to performance is that for you to be able to see possibilities and answers and solutions, you need to be in a state of calm, because that way your body, your mind, and your eyes see in a um, peripheral view, like a wide and broad way instead of really laser focused. Because when we're stressed, we're only focused on surviving right now, which is the moment of not being able to breathe because you're having a panic attack, or you're crying in the middle of the street, you're having a mental breakdown, so that you're like, okay, what do I do now with all this? So those things are all symptoms of chronic stress. And the simplest, easiest way for you to reduce that is by breathing. Simply having a breathing practice, breathing every morning for 5 minutes in through the nose, out through the nose, noticing how breathing feels, because that teaches your body how to be in the moment and be okay feeling relaxed. Another part of this is we live in a highly, highly stressful and stimulating society. Everything we look at stimulates our nervous system. We are always alert. So that became normal, which is not healthy, it's not optimal. And that's a condition. It's conditioning. We were conditioned to be alert all the time. So now we have to condition our body to feel that it's safe, to do less, and also um, be relaxed. For a short period of time, it can be for taking a break at work, as little as that. Those are the reasons why I teach breathwork, breathing, and mindset. The process of working online now through breathwork, I love it because I don't need to be in a specific space. And also, by facilitating breathwork sessions, I work anywhere as long as I'm listening to music, and I like being outside walking or at the beach listening to music because I hear different things and I hear different patterns, and I have more creativity to to facilitate a more fun breathwork session. I imagine I wouldn't be able to have that creativity or feel comfortable creating if I were like stuck in an office.
Yeah, it makes
What
sense.
else to the process? What else
There,
to the
there was a lot,
process?
but there was a lot. Do you mind if I just ask you a couple of things? If I can just
Of
pull
course, go
back,
ahead, please.
because the way you've described the practice, and just from my knowledge of it, the way you described like breath work for home and breath work for work sounded like two different practices that elicit two different responses. Is that is that fair? Is that true, or is it just you're trying to? Yeah, I guess I'm getting at. Are you trying to put people in the same state for being at home and the same state for being at work, or is work a more heightened aware state and home is like more chilled?
Good question. This is something very great. Sorry, I was looking at my notes. Great awareness from you. And yes, it's two different states. Let's say a daytime and nighttime. Because at daytime, we go to work, we do stuff, and also with the sun out, you do stuff. It's time to do stuff. And that it's best if you are energetic and you're in a state of alertness to do things. And at home, at night, it's after a long day of work. It's not fully relaxed because you take care of home stuff, kids, preparing everything for the family. Um, and then, yes, you need to know how to relax and get into a relaxed state so that you get good rest and do the same thing over again tomorrow. Is exactly knowing how to regulate, put yourself into a state of being fully paying attention to produce, to do things, and also putting yourself in a state where you can relax, have fun, and be doing whatever you want to do without feeling guilty about it. Because rest is as important as production.
Yeah, there's gold in that, and I think that's the thing that people are missing these days in this kind of always on way of living. It's still a hard thing to connect the dots of people on the importance of the rest and digest sleep recovery process to not just create balance but to actually help them perform better in that which they want to do as well.
Yeah, definitely. And the
What
thing is, I was thinking a lot about your question about being a
mm,
state of alertness and calm.
mm,
Is that at work as well? If you're
mm,
in a meeting or dealing or selling something and you're in a very high stakes deal, you need to be able to be in the right amount of focus, the right amount of stress. So then, if you're super nervous, you might make a mistake, and that's overboard.
mm,
So then, how do you regulate your own nervous system at the time, on the spot, so that you're calmer, so that you make the best decision?
mm. Yeah, I guess I see what you're saying is like there's levels of this, and if you're like prepping
Mm-hmm.
someone in the physical realm to like, hey, you're going to go and do a 1 rep max, the breath work to prepare them for that is going to get them in the most heightened state. Like you're not going to want to solve a math problem when you're about to do a 1 rep max. You just need to fucking lift. But equally, you don't want them the opposite end of that if they're in the boardroom because you want them kind of in a heightened state of arousal to be able to perform, but to be able to create or honor some level of like awareness in that moment so they don't react in that kind of like fight or flight way, which is not ideal. Um,
Accurate. Yes, 100%. Thank you for
what,
summarizing all that for me.
I don't think I summarized it. I think it's just my interpretation of it and the way it's come through. But yeah, it makes sense. So if you were going to kind of like if you were going to say for like what would be like the first from your experience as a coach when you work with people, what's the first technique? What's the first place you start? What's the thing? Okay, most people need to start with this, or is it an equals one?
Yeah, most people, everybody I don't like using this word.
No,
Everybody
you're good.
start with
Mm.
breathing through your nose. That's a performance goal for your everyday life. If you are not speaking, then your mouth should be closed and shut because you need to breathe in through the nose and out through the nose.
I love that.
That
If you're
makes
not
your whole
speaking,
nervous.
go on. Sorry, carry on. It just made
No,
me
no,
laugh.
no. Yeah, yeah.
I can
Uh,
just imagine you going around like shutting people's mouths if they're like walking around like you're not speaking. Just shut that. just shut that now, please. That shouldn't be open. You're not talking, are you? Close it. So what? Yeah, why should we do that? Why should we not walk around like being mouth breathers? What's the benefits?
well, mouth breathing means that you're stressed, that you are like in a high alert situation, and you are actually not. You're just walking around, wandering around, doing your errands, and nose breathing is the cure for everything. You pay more attention. You Attention is a big thing for me. Huh? I see myself repeating this word all the time.
Hmm.
You're breathing through your nose, and your nose filters all the toxins out. So then you don't breathe all the toxins into your body. It makes the air that goes into your body properly accessible and usable. So the air that comes in is warm, and then it's more oxygenated. You have more input to work with, as if you breathe with your mouth. All of that is not there. It's gone. So breathing in through the nose is optimal for health.
Mm. So
What
that's the
else?
first place people to
That's
start.
the
That's
first
where
place.
Yeah, yeah. Because I've heard of this before, even with like it's something I've dabbled with in like doing aerobic work, like steady state aerobic work, trying to go with nasal breathing and stuff like that. And that's hard because you spike your heart rate a little bit, and you're like you just can't keep up. But I have
Yeah.
seen a lot of people, endurance athletes, who really promote it now as like it's super efficient.
And also the thing with breathing through the nose is if you want to control your emotions and be in control of yourself, then the first thing to do is to know how to breathe through your nose. Because when you do know how to breathe through your nose, you'll know when you are breathing through the mouth. And from that,
Mm,
you're able to change the pattern physically and consciously. So you consciously change your state of mental state and emotional state through changing how you breathe.
mm, mm. I love that. It's a really simple, immediate measure of the state with which you're in, and if you can start to tune into that. And you said about attention, you talk about attention a lot, but I think that's important because through that attention, you can then become a lot more intentional in what you're doing, and that would make sense, especially as you talk about more of the kind of mindset stuff. It's like the first place for mindset work, I always think, is some kind of level of awareness rather than just floating along automatically, going from one threat to another, trying to sleep, being jacked up, and all those things. So, yeah, that makes a lot of sense. Thank you for explaining that.
Yeah, thank you for receiving it. And another thing that came to my mind right now with awareness,
Mm,
everybody knows this. Like all coaches, I imagine all coaches know this, that everything starts with awareness. Yeah, but
mm,
your client doesn't know that. So if we want to help them achieve results and make progress,
mm,
awareness is knowing, recognizing, identifying where they are at in their journey and being able for to tell them so they can see where they are at.
mm. What
And
in
that's
terms
how
of their?
I yeah, and
Go
that's
on,
how
sorry,
I like
Karen.
to tell them like
Mm,
this is where you're at and this is where we're going. If they know where they're at, that's awareness. Without telling them, oh,
mm.
you need to become more aware of the la la la.
I was gonna say, like, yeah, you're like what is it? You're unconsciously incompetent right now. Like, I don't even know why I'm speaking to you. Like, you got to be careful with the language, I guess. But it's that the first stage of awareness is that introduction to the concept of it. I guess it's just because it's kind of like a for me the experiences I've gone from my life. I could just feel like it's almost like a perspective shift. You go from that, and that's kind of the hard. That first step is the hardest one to kind of take, with that first recognition. Yeah. Okay. So, what do you want to talk about next? I've got some questions here. Like, how do we work with clients? We kind of covered that. How do you shift from negative to positive? Is that Have we covered that? Is that something you want to address more? Where do you feel like you want to take this right now? What's coming to mind for you?
I could circle back of using breathwork and mindset to
Mm.
shift your mentality from being negative to positive.
Yeah,
A
please.
lot
I'd
of
love
people
that.
say, a lot of people say that I'm really negative. I'm not positive. Good thing they
Mm,
know. And also the other thing is changing your breath,
mm,
breathing slowly through the nose, and breathing in a more expansive way. So you breathe more air into your body and also breathing out slower. And what does that do? That creates space in your body and in your mind for you to realize and notice when you are being negative, checking in with the words and the thoughts you're having, and changing those thoughts consciously. This is what the breath does. It allows you to calm yourself down so that you shift your perspective into a positive mindset. And then you move on with
mm.
your life.
Mm.
That's what I like
So,
about breath work and also mindset. It's mechanical, it's simple, not
because
easy,
that's,
it takes time, but
mm.
it is mechanical.
And I think that's what I love about the way you're describing mindset integration into what you're doing is it it's almost anchored into something that is part of people's everyday lives. Because I think mindset practices, as far as I've learned them in my own life, are very much part of the start of my day or the end of my day. But then I'll kind of like do that stuff in the morning, do my meditation, do a bit of journaling, whatever it is, and I'm like just crack on with my day. And I think if you're integrating this concept into breath work, it's almost like that pattern interrupt that can really help you in the moment.
Mm-hmm. It is exactly the pattern interrupt that you do it
Mm.
consciously.
Mm. Would you say then over time that becomes like an unconscious behavior, that the initial start of this is they consciously do it, and then over the time it's like almost like reflexive. You'll notice this thing, someone will pull out in front of you when you're driving a car and it normally piss you off, and you just like you don't even know anymore, you just do it, you just breathe.
Yes, it is conscious. One of my
Mm.
clients from last year, she told me she still uses that, and she finds herself breathing really slow into the belly when she's lesson planning or she finds herself getting stressed out in her office. And she's a teacher dealing with kids 5, 7 years old. So imagine a role of leadership, knowing how they're feeling and changing their state. If the teacher
Mm.
knows how to change her state and be there for the kids, then the kids will have a better experience and learn stuff and listen to the teacher as well.
Mm. Yeah, it's always good if they
I
listen.
went on a tangent. I wanted to
That's
say something else. I forgot.
that's okay. We can circle back to it. It will
Pattern,
come up.
pattern interrupt. Yeah. Okay.
No, no. I think just to summarize what you said there. So kind of the first thing you said that I think people should take away from it is the first thing most people should do is breathe through their nose, and that technique you've kind of just described is to get people out of a negative state, negative way of thinking, and how they would do that is upon noticing that emotion or thing arise, it's deep, slow inhales, slower exhales, and then you can obviously interrupt me here, but like, and then in that moment also to consider those thoughts and to try and create a shift in them intentionally.
Yeah, I actually gave you two things over there. So the
Mm.
first thing people should start is breathing through
Mm.
the nose and
Mm-hmm.
taking 5 minutes in the morning to breathe in and out through the nose. That's all.
Perfect.
To get used to for the body to get used to breathing in and out through the nose.
Mm-hmm.
And during that, people might feel that they're doing it wrong because they won't be able to sit for 5 minutes and breathe through the nose. It might be
Mm.
boring, but also I invite the person to notice the thoughts that they're having. You don't need to choose one thought, just observe, simply observe how
Mm-hmm.
many things are going on in your head. And that's the exercise for you to be aware and notice, see that you're capable of holding a lot of stuff up there.
Mm.
And through time, in this exercise, 5 minutes of nose inhale, nose exhale, you're able to slow your thoughts down. You're able to choose one thought over the other. You can discard something that is not true or doesn't matter. It's
Mm.
it's the equivalent of watching a movie of your thoughts going through in front of you, and then you simply clicking on one or swiping another one or zooming in to another thought. All these
Mm.
things by simply breathing in and out through the nose. That's one exercise. Now, the other thing that I told you is
Mm.
the most advanced
Mm-hmm.
state of mastering your states and your emotions.
Mm.
Because that happens in a split second. And if you're able to notice how you're breathing, change how you breathe so that you change how you feel and act in a way that is optimal for the situation. A lot. So those are many, many, many things that happen in one split second. It is reflexive and it takes time to practice and condition yourself to do that. Yes, it does become reflexive, and you becomes you how you say. And in the future, the more you do it, you see other people doing that, and you start judging people or watching their behaviors. It's like, oh, this
Mm.
person is breathing through their mouth, or before a group session or before a group class, I watch the teacher, and the teacher goes and takes a big sigh, gulp of air through the mouth. It's like, okay,
Mm.
she's a bit nervous. Or I see someone texting on the phone, and
Mm.
their chest, the chest is moving, and the belly is not
Mm.
moving. So they're breathing up into the chest with their mouth. It means that that's not a good message that they're receiving, or she's very stressed as well. You start noticing things around you, and then you're able
Mm.
to know in what state they're in mentally and emotionally. But they don't know it. You do, they don't.
Mm. What a beautiful thing to become attuned to as a coach as well. What a skill. I
Yeah.
can see that. Okay.
So those are
Awesome.
two different things.
Yeah.
And this thing of the second one that I told you about, the wa- watching your phone,
Mm.
is what I teach my clients. They understand it. They notice themselves when they are getting stressed. So they know their own triggers. They know how their body responds to when they are getting super nervous or a bit overwhelmed, and then they're able to regulate it by themselves. Because I'm not there. That's what they do, and that's the goal.
Mm. Yeah. I guess it's the goal with true coaching is to create autonomy in the clients so that they don't need you at some point.
Hmm. Exactly.
uh, yeah. Okay. That's amazing. Wow. Awesome. Do you feel like we want to talk about the kind of making therapy cool thing now, or is there anything you kind of want to cover on that, or what do
It's
you
a
think?
broad topic. I don't feel like it
Mm,
because most people don't want
yeah,
to go to therapy.
but
However,
that's the point. That's the
however,
point.
life coaching,
Mm,
life coaching
yeah,
is a bit like therapy. A lot of the coaches are
mm,
therapists in disguise, just with the
that's the
title
thing, right?
of coach. Right? Yeah.
Mm, mm,
Yeah. That's a topic that I no, I'm not able to process and think about right now. It's a big
no,
one,
park
and
that
I'm
one.
gonna be rambling, not going anywhere with that topic. One thing
That's
I'd
cool.
like to add
Yeah, let's
is
go for
the
it.
breath work. Continue with breathing.
Mm,
So there is breath work, which is breathing exercises throughout your day, the 5 minutes in the morning, 5 minutes at night, nasal breathing,
yeah,
and
yeah.
there's also the event of breath work, which
Okay.
is a cool way for you to reconnect with yourself, a cool, simple, fun way for you to reconnect with yourself, which is by listening to music and breathing in through your nose, out through the nose. That's one option. And what I do is that I guide people through a session of 25 minutes to 40 minutes. So I guide them through the breathing, through different styles of breathing, depending on the rhythm of the music, of the song. And for each song, there is a state change, and it's all structured. I structure it, and the goal is for you
Mm,
to feel calmer, have more energy, have more mental clarity, more feel more peaceful. And that's also the easiest way for anyone who's struggling with anxiety, overwhelm, and also depression, not knowing what to do with their lives, is to start with. That's how you start taking care of yourself. Make time for yourself, sit with music, listen, and breathe.
Mm.
Instead of doing boring meditations that you think you're doing wrong, this is guided. Yeah, a lot of people think that they're meditating wrong, or what's the point of
Mm.
meditating?
Mm. Mm. Yeah, what is the point of
Because
meditating? That is the
yeah,
one.
I
Yeah.
imagine people have goals in mind of what meditation should look like.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's it's freestyle. Meditation is
Yeah.
freestyle.
Yeah.
So the breath work that I do, that I guide people through a session, that's also the point of entrance to feeling better about themselves and simply having time to relax and feel good. Easy. That's the easy way, the simplest way to reduce stress and start
Mm.
reducing the chronic stress that causes all the symptoms of anxiety, depression, burnout, exhaustion.
Mm. Mm. So would the dose on that be? So you said that was like a 25-minute session. Is that something you generally say to people to do at the end of the day to kind of decompress? And then the other question I've got is like, what would you say? Is that something people should do every day, or is it a couple of times a week? What would you? I mean, that's such a vague question. I know, probably.
No, those are great questions. Um, so I wouldn't tell them to do 25 minutes a day. If they want to decompress,
Mm.
that's okay. If they're going to do it by themselves, not guided, um, not me guiding them,
Mm.
then simple, choose two songs, 2 to 3 songs that makes you feel calm, or any songs that you've been listening to on repeat every day. Put those songs 1 to 3, so that it doesn't take too long of your time, too much of your time,
Mm.
and listen. You focus on breathing in and out through the nose and listen to the music. Let the song guide you wherever your mind wants to go. It's as simple as that.
That's great. And I guess within that, what you're saying is it's up to the people to decide the music that moves them towards that state, and that's something I really like because I think music is such an individual thing. Like we have our own music that moves us, but
Yes, exactly.
you know, no thrash metal, no hard techno. Well, that'd be
I
okay.
use
Would
I
that
use EDM to for my breathwork
yeah.
sessions. Yeah, and I've been listening
Okay.
to a lot of cinematic music,
Yeah.
almost similar to soundtracks
Mm.
for
Yeah.
breathwork
Yeah.
sessions. So it all depends on the state you want to be in, and
Mm.
if you're by yourself at home to decompress, if the intent is to decompress at night, is breathing in, nasal breathing in through the belly, out through the belly, and making the inhalation long and exhalation long. So you start with
Mm.
natural breathing flow, and then consciously elongating your breath when you inhale and then when you exhale.
Mm. Mm.
What it does is that it makes you pay attention. It makes you really stay focused on the lyrics, on the words, on the feelings. And if you don't have the names for the feelings and the emotions, that's okay. That's not important. As long as you're feeling, that's the point. I wanted to
Mm.
add something there too.
Mm. Go
Any
for it.
song, 1 to 3 songs.
Mhm.
I like doing this anytime through the day. Before I open my laptop to write, I do one breath, no, one song break, which I listen to one song, close my eyes, and listen to it. Simple breathing in through the nose, out through the nose.
Mm.
That's all I do to get me into the state of writing or transitioning to a different task.
Mm.
Let me guide you through one breath break. Would you like that?
Mm. Yeah, I need that in my life.
It's something that will I need it right now because I feel myself um, getting low in energy and not thinking fast enough.
That's good. I love the notice in there. I think we're both feeling that, so that's cool. I'm glad you said that. Thank you.
And yeah, awesome. All right. So this is what I do for this exact situation and also before getting into a coaching call or before a meeting
Hmm.
starting a so sit comfortably. You don't need to have your back straight. Sit comfortably and it's a one breath break only, one rep. So go ahead and exhale from your mouth. When you get to the bottom, hold. Hold for a little bit. 3, 2, 1 through the nose, slowly inhale, hold at the top, still holding. When you exhale, you're going to exhale with your mouth with a big sigh of relief. 3, 2, 1, exhale. And hold at the bottom. Oh, sorry, I didn't tell you to hold at the bottom. So hold at the
It's okay.
bottom without air. And when your body tells you it's time to breathe again, simply return to nose, inhale, nose, exhale. And then keep breathing
Mm.
in through the nose and out through the nose.
Mm. It's
That
powerful.
was
One
good.
breath, isn't it? I appreciate
One
that. I
breath
appreciate you for
break.
that. Yeah, that's great.
Thank
And
you.
I feel like that's one of those things that like no one can throw up the thing of like I haven't got time for that. You're literally breathing already. I'm just telling you to take one really intentional breath here.
Yeah,
Mm, cool.
that's the one
Would you
breath break.
cool? Where else do you want to go with this? If you're energetically feeling like you're reaching the end of this, is there anything else you feel like you want to talk about today? Is that covered enough of what you feel like is within you to talk about right now? That not, it's entirely up to you.
Yes, I do feel complete. And if you
Mm.
have more questions, I'm here to answer too because I like receiving questions of things that I
Okay,
don't think
yeah,
about.
yeah. No. Let me go through because let me just take a look at my notes here because there were different things. So yeah, what I was going to ask you. Okay, this is it. So because mindset's something obviously it's big for me, it's big for you, and I think we kind of touched upon how the integration of mindset comes from the practice of breathing, um, and so is that do you just kind of layer that in with people as they go through working with you, or does the mindset practice become something that exists outside of breath work, or is it all just integrated into the breathwork practice?
It's all integrated into the practice. It is
Mm,
all because you're unable to change your mindset if you're in a highly stressful situation.
yeah, that's true,
Let me
right?
take that back. If you are in a competition and then you do need to do that few, stay for 5 more seconds doing as many reps as possible.
Mm,
Yes, you keep going until the clock hits zero. But so you change your mindset of I don't want to do this. This hurts too much, but you only have 5 seconds left, so it's game time.
mm,
You're gonna go for 5 more seconds. That's how you can change your mindset in a high stressful situation because you
mm,
know the
mm,
outcome. But in a everyday life, that's difficult. How do you change someone's mind? Or how do you invite someone to see from a different perspective? Or how do you, as a coach, are able to understand what your client is telling you if you're not listening, if you are not breathing, or if you're like, oh, they're just rambling now. These are just excuses. She's not working out because she's giving me excuses. Eh, right? So it's possible that's a coach's mindset. So if you realize that you're not listening to your client, then you can consciously change that story of she's just giving me excuses to what is happening in her life right now that I can support her with. That's mindset.
Yeah, you're right. Absolutely. You're right. Yeah, there's so much there in terms of the listening part as well, and the listening to what is being said, and then listening to yourself in that is powerful. And the obvious thing which we talked about is that the breath work is the identifier, the mechanism for you to build that kind of go, well, where am I right now? Oh, I'm breathing it out through my mouth to my chest. I'm thinking all these negative thoughts. Yeah, and I love it. I love talking about this stuff. It's so beautiful. Um, how soon after people start doing this would you say people would start to feel the benefits?
3 weeks.
Mm,
3 weeks.
it's
Benefits
pretty
of
quick.
feeling the benefits of feeling less stressed just
Mm.
through breathing every night and every morning, 4 days.
Wow, okay, that's bold. That's brilliant. Would the evening breath would be similar to the morning breath, or would that be kind of what you're saying about that?
It's the same,
Yeah,
exactly the same.
yeah. Okay, perfect. Right. What I'm going to do now is do that every morning and evening, and I'll report back in 4 days. Yeah. Okay. Cool.
Oh no,
I, I,
let me take that back. Not the same
yeah.
because in the morning I said
Mm,
make your inhalation and exhalation longer. At night, make
mm.
your exhalation longer than your inhalation.
Okay. And
That's
I
all.
guess that would be to get you in more of a like a
Parasympathetic.
parasympathetic state. Yeah.
Hmm.
Okay. Cool. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're ready for sleep. Nice slow exhales because that's just calming your nervous system more and more. Yeah. Sweet. Okay. Cool. Wow. I've got so much out of that. I'm sure everyone else who listens to this will as well. So thank you so much for your time on a Saturday to talk about this on a weekend as well. It's
Thank you,
very cool.
Glenn. This was amazing, lovely, great to connect with you and answer your questions.
No, it's my pleasure. So I guess that the thing that people always do on a podcast is how can people find you if they want to search you out and find out more and start working with you.
I am most active on Instagram at S Chang Ramos, which is SCHANGRAMOS. And that's the same one for Facebook, my Facebook page. Those are the most those are the places I hang out at.
Cool. Yeah, I'll
And you
put the
can
links in the
you're
notes.
welcome to you're welcome to send me a message, see scroll everything, go all the way down. You're welcome to
All the
do
way
that.
down. I don't know if you want
Yeah.
everyone to go. I don't want everyone to go all the way down on mine. There's still some stuff on there. I'm leaving it on there though now. I'm like it's there. It can't, you know. It's just a story.
Yeah.
All right,
And I
cool.
imagine my Instagram is it's not for me it's not confusing. And I heard
Mm.
someone told me it's like we've been talking and until
Mm.
and now I still don't know. I still am unaware of what you do. And I was like,
Mm.
well, okay, that's great. We can get on a call and chat about it.
I guess with
It's
what you do, there's probably something really like beautiful in just having that conversation and just go, hey, let's just. There's probably like a tangible thing that you can just run through in that moment with them that they can start to connect with, maybe to connect the dots in that moment.
yeah, definitely.
Mm. That's cool. All right, sweet. I'll stop recording and thank you so much for your time.